What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
What is up? I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we have so many books for you today. Never too many. Could be more, maybe.
Never enough.
Have never enough. Never. Like in The Greatest Showman, you guys remember. Hugh Jackman.
Yep, that's
Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine.
Yep.
I like to think Wolverine stars in that movie, or in that movie and Broadway show.
X-Men Origins, The Greatest Showman. Let's jump into it because we do have, I think, 38 titles to talk about today. So kicking it off with Loki, #1 from Marvel, written by Dan Waters, art by Germán Peralta. In this book, Loki has a fingernail ship that crashes into Yggdrasil, and he has to track down 3 pieces of his fingernail ship. Otherwise, things are going to go horribly wrong. I know that sounds insane, but that's the actual concept of the book. What'd you guys think about this?
Well, I like the fact that he admitted to be in Florida, man. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
What's the biggest thing you guys have made out of fingernails?
Oh, great question. I built a ship.
Oh, this must have really resonated with you.
It did. It's the first time I saw myself on the screen.
Oh, wow.
That's nice. In the paper screen. I built a moped. I didn't have enough for a ship, so I'm just going to... But it works.
Sweet
I will
moped,
say,
bro.
Yeah. It's good.
This is very good. I really like the tone of this quite a bit. I thought they really got back to the whole mythology aspect of Norse mythology, something that sometimes is weirdly lacking in the Thor and Loki books. It also weaves in a lot of different Loki runs as well, like Daniel Kibblesmith's run and a couple of others. So very fun. I had a good time reading this. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. It seems like this is a one and done series because it seems like he's dead at the end. So
Loki,
it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah, even though the next page teases a second issue, I agree with you. That's never going to come out.
Never.
Well, maybe they're panicking. They're like, "Oh no, what do we do? It's about Loki, and he died. He
died at the end. I mean, magical axes are pretty reliable.
And just think how sharp a fingernail axe is, because fingernails.
Yeah, come on, man.
If they're all individually sharp and then you sharpen the edge, it's like sharp on sharp. I agree. I really like this book. It reminds me of those runs in the Kieran Gillen run from back in the day.
Okay.
Takes us back, has some comedy to it, but still, like you said, Alex, some mythological underpinnings, some good action. This guy's a trickster. You can't trust him.
Steelworks. Steelworks #1 from DC Comics, written by Michael Dorn, Worf himself, art by Sami Basri. This is following Steel is now running a company in Metropolis. We've seen this a little bit in the Superman books, but the idea is he's trying to basically make superheroes obsolete by making the world into a utopia. That's what he's working towards. A lot of other things, of course, are going on at the same time. But what did you think about this kickoff?
I thought it was a really solid first ish. I love the art style. I feel like it had a great kind of last panel and did a good job of getting us excited for more.
I also enjoyed this Worf coming out. We got 2 Worfs. We got Worves. We have multiple Worves in this stack.
That's right.
So that's exciting. And this comic is, I feel like a lot of like celebrity, I'm assuming I don't know if this is his very first comic book work, but sort of jumping into comics, it's a little bit not great. This is like a good story, a story that is like in universe and sort of deeply thought out, it feels like, with a sort of a large philosophical underpinning, which I think is cool. There's a lot of Superman family stuff happening between the Super family, then you got the Steel family, corporate stuff going on. So this world is expanding a lot.
Here's my one note for this book, which I also generally did like. I liked the corporate idea so much of, hey, I'm going to give up being a superhero. I'm going to try to figure out how to make this into a utopia, that when we got into the superhero shenanigans of big fight scenes and villains manipulating behind the scenes, that wasn't as interesting to me as this idea.
You were like, I want more about agriculture.
Yes. 100%. Like, that to me felt fresh and exciting and very different. And having, this is obviously not what they're going for with this book, but having a place where legitimately tried to build some sort of utopian world in the government structure of Metropolis in the DC universe. That's really interesting to me. And when they delve into that part of the book, I feel that is really fascinating. When they get to the other stuff, very solid. But I hope they keep that balance going as we go forward.
You want more about the office culture, like what's the lunch cafeteria situation?
Exactly. Do they get an actual lunch break, or is it more like eating at your desk? And it's like,
do
it's
they
optional.
Get reimbursed for lunch, or do you get to walk away for your desk, or do you got to like take it there?
How are the bathrooms?
Who's changing the toner, Worf? Who's changing the toner?
Michael Dorn loves being referred to as Worf as a person. Let's talk about In Hell We Fight, #1 from Image Comics.
Yeah!
Layman, art by Jock. You can figure out what this is about from the title, but it's a bunch of folks who are in hell, who are just trying to get some ice cream over the course of the first issue and are fighting some demons to do it. There's a big twist at the end here. But basically, everybody, when they are sent to hell, kind of gets their own little power when they go to hell based on how they died, and that's what we're exploring in this issue. Another very fun, wild concept from John Layman.
Also a positive twist on hell, which you don't get often.
Exactly. Now I'm even more excited that all three of us are going to end up there.
Oh, dude, I hope they have podcasts and stuff down there.
They definitely have podcasts in hell.
In fact, we'll have all of the podcasts in the world. Ooh. We'll never stop talking. It's going to be great.
Oh, man.
In Hell We
talking
podcast.
about In Hell We Fight #1 again.
We're going to have to redo old podcasts.
Anyway, so I want to try to talk about the comic here. Yeah, love the kind of like art style, the fun use of emojis here, the little red daggers when Midori is given looks. It's really fun. I think it's a fun last panel reveal. They did a great job of like setting up this interesting world. And kind of like, we're just kind of have this plan, but then a bigger plan is revealed. So, yeah, I could follow along. I thought it was really fun, great art style, kind of set up this cool thing. I think it did a great job.
I also like this. This reminded me a lot of Adventure Time, the comic books as well as the cartoon.
Adventure Time set in hell?
Yeah, which, in Adventure Time, this is maybe the most mild of spoilers. It's a post-apocalyptic world, Earth. And so that sort of, like, there is that edge to it. And I think this is a similar edge with similar tone and similar types of characters here.
And by the way, I'll mention real quick, if you're wondering about the art style, this is by Jock, J-O-K, not Jock, J-O-C-K. So it is a little
completely
bit
different person.
I believe that's pronounced dark. It's pronounced Jacques.
Jacques?
It's Jacques and Jacques. Can you hear the difference?
Yeah. Wait, say it one more time.
Yeah. Jacques and Jacques.
Oh, I hear it now. Okay, thank you. I'll try to get that right.
You can hear it, right?
Yeah,
you can hear it, right?
Totally hear it. Pete? Pete, you went to NOLA where they speak French. I believe you should know the difference between Jacques and Jacques.
Yeah.
Yep. Fence Redemption #1 from Boombox, written by C.S. Pacat, art by Johanna The Mad. This is continuing the story of a fencing school that's pretty gay, let's be honest.
Come on, dude. This
book is Alex. Possibly. This is Alex bait right here, this book.
Well, yes, I do really like the fence books. I think they're very fun.
Me too.
I honestly felt like a little confused by this one because it's been a very long time since I read a fence book. I still really like the art style a lot. It's definitely manga inspired. The fencing fights are very good. And there's a good cliffhanger at the end as well.
Also, you learn about fencing, which is great.
Exactly. It's very locked up in terms of fencing. What'd you guys think?
I think I need to learn how to flick fence.
I thought it was cool. Yeah, it has a very manga kind of anime style to it, which is great. Kind of adorable, style to it, which is fun. But yeah, I thought it was really cool characters. Liked all the fencing lingo, kind of learned some fun stuff. So anytime you can kind of like enjoy a world and then also walk away with a little knowledge, I mean, that's a bonus on bonus right there.
Bonus on bonus.
Bonus on bonus. Put it on the cover. Pull quote. I really liked the stuff about fencing, but otherwise the book seemed very like everybody walking up to each other and shouting things at each other.
That's real life.
And that, well, it doesn't have to be, Pete. That's a choice that you make. The way that I just wish there was a little bit more sort of narrative flow to it. It felt very like stop, start, shout, shout, shout. That I do think I agree that cliffhanger at the end felt like it's setting up for maybe a little bit more of a story, but this felt like almost like an overture before we get to the actual story of the comic.
Yeah, that's a very good call there. Next up, X-Men. Speaking of overtures, X-Men Before the Fall. Mutant First Strike, #1 from Marvel, written by Steve Orlando, art by Valentina Pinti. This is part of a series of one-shots that are coming out before Fall of X, the big event that's coming down the road in a couple of months at this point. And here, we're getting a bombing that is blamed on mutants, and a mutant strike team heads there to help everybody out and prove their innocence at the same time. They get into a couple of scrapes along the way, and we do have a villain who is manipulating things behind the scene. What'd you guys think about this book?
Steve Orlando is an amazing writer. We've had him on the show. He's a blast. I think that he does amazing work. Always show up when I see him attached to a project. All that being said, go F yourself with this. You guys are on your fuck island, then you're going to come back and be like, oh, maybe we'll send a squad to help maybe one time. Go F yourself. Either be on your island, leave us the F alone, or you live here with us and you help us while we're here fighting, trying to make the world fucking better.
Sorry, just real quick. So you're saying marginalized societies should either fuck off to their own place or help you out, a white man? Is that what
Who's
you're saying?
Who's talking about marginalized society? We're talking
that's what
about
the X-Men are. They are a stand-in for marginalized societies, and that certainly sounds like what you're saying, Pete. Real quick, which marginalized group?
Thanks for putting all that in my mouth. I appreciate that.
Are you saying that about?
What's funny, because I said one thing, and then you took it and did something completely else. So congratulations on that.
Sorry, real quick, we just have a new pull quote. Thanks for putting that in my mouth. Thank you, Pete. That's perfect.
Yep.
Well, I would actually argue, Pete, you have your chip, a very large chip on your shoulder. Honestly, your shoulder is mostly chip. I'm a little worried for your bone structure. So, but this feels more like a regular non-Krakoa X-Men book. I think if you sort of were able to look at this with fresh eyes, you were able to sort of somehow take the veil of anger you have. Well, that's the
problem, is I wasn't born today. I don't have fresh eyes. I have eyes that...
But you're a journalist.
And ripped out. Don't you dare call me that. I'm a podcaster and a comedian, but what I'm trying to say is you guys made this huge...
In hell, you're a podcaster.
Exactly, yeah, it's true.
In hell we podcast.
But
in hell we podcast.
Yeah, I just I don't know, man. I mean, if you were kind of sitting there, in a sandbox, and then your friend got up and said, "I'm taking my toys and I'm leaving."
Sounds like the weekend.
Then if they came back later and were like, "Oh, I see you're having problems here. I sent one of my toys to go help you," how would you feel about that?
Sorry, Pete. I'm gonna write that analogy down so I can really put some time into that. So wait, the person sends a toy to go talk to me in the sandbox, sort of like a Woody situation. He sends like a Woody over from Toy Story to talk to me, like. Oh my God. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. I'm crying.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That aside, I like this. I like the uniforms that we've got on the X-Men here, and it does feel like, and I'm not in no way agreeing with the poet laureate of Comic Book Club over here. But I do think that X books have stagnated a little bit. And so the idea of changing it up some with the Fall of X and getting them back to their roots here where they are fighting against the world that is actively after them is exciting to me. So I think this is something that if Pete were to, if I were to send a toy to Pete's house, like I do, I think we're able to give him fresh eyes he would be able to really enjoy this.
New Talent Showcase, the Milestone Initiative #1 from DC Comics, written by, get ready for this, Ashley Allen, Cheryl, Lynn, Eaton, Jarod, Lujan, Greg Burnham, Jared Pratt, Zipporah Smith, Julio Anta, Morgan Hampton, Jerome Rhett, Nathan Cayanan, Jordan Clark, and Dorado Quick, and art by Yasmín Flores Montañez, Atagun Ilhan, Cameron White, Marcus Maz Smith, Damon Hampton, Lucas Silveira, Andrea Rosales, Tia Ancom, Patterson Oliveira, Anthony Fowler Jr., Miguel C. Hernandez, and Charles Stewart III. Now, as you could also figure out from the title of this one, this is a series of short stories that is showcasing new talent both from the writing and art side, working with the characters in the Milestone universe. It's also a monster of a book, and I believe over 100 pages long, something like that.
Yeah, 109 pages by my count.
So you're getting, like, this is not, hey, we're throwing 3 stories out there over the course of 20 pages. This is a whole thing. Pete, you're our #1 Milestone fan, so what did you think about this?
Man, I really love this. They really put a great kind of package together with this. This is so cool. I also really love the kind of artists and creators shout out and bio kind that we got. You know, it's where you get to kind of see pictures of the people making the stuff, so that was really neat, and kind of hear a little bit about them. So I really appreciated that kind of fit in the back there. But man, overall, just it's exactly what you expect to get from this. There's just some amazing stories, some powerful stuff. I love the Hate You Live. That was really unbelievable. The family values one about being black and being a superhero. Just such great art, great story. Really loved all the different takes. I was just super impressed with it overall. What a collection of stories that really showcases some new talent and getting you excited for things to come.
I agree. It's nice, especially the new talent side of it, to see people really like getting a big swing on a big stage like this. I like those that Pete highlighted as well. I also liked the Makings of You one in the middle.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's great to see this. This is the kind of stuff that I remember ages ago reading, like reading backups in an annual and being like, this is a new person. I don't know their name, and they're getting their shot. Always exciting.
Yeah, this is a great project. I'm glad they spent so much time and put so much care into it. But beyond that, as somebody who is a very casual Milestone fan, certainly I've been reading the books that we've been talking about on the show, but a lot of them are very much deep dives into, you got to know this character's backstory. This feels like a fresh slate for a lot of these things as well, which I really appreciated. There's a lot of static stories in here that I thought were very good and very accessible. So if you're looking to get into the Milestone universe in any way, I think this is a really good one to pick up.
Great call.
Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, #6 from Image Comics, written by Jason Aaron, art by Leila Del Duca. This has been following 2 characters, a man and a woman, who are traversing a post-apocalyptic nightmare world in search of a, fabled safe haven, as one is always want to do. They've definitely started as hating each other, then begrudgingly like each other. Here, we jump a couple of years in the future where they're fucking, like, literally everywhere, like, straight up.
It's a fuck fest.
It's
the sex-apocalypse.
Fuck sex, 100%, straight up nudity. Not necessarily like graphic fucking, but like you see a lot of fucking over the course of this book. So it's for adults.
Yeah, don't read it on the train or any place. There's
definitely don't read it at your son's chess tournament.
You're a horrible father.
I mean,
it's very funny you say that.
I turned towards the window when I was doing it.
It's funny you say that,
so
Alex,
people behind you walking by could see it. You know what I mean? Just like holding it up so they could.
A comic we're going to talk about in a couple, the Betty Page #1 with a provocative cover, one could say. I was my kid's dance show, and I spun that up, and I was like, oh dear God, I can't do this right here.
Yeah, but the inside of that is completely tamed compared to the what's going on in this one. I've was really enjoying all the issues leading up to this. I feel like we got kind of a little bit lost in the fuck fest, but I get it. It's the end of the world. You're happy to have companionship. It's got to be crazy out there. So like, go to town. But I think you can imply it a little bit. We don't need to sit in it so much. Because it took away from the story. But I do think that it's super sweet, open relationship.
Real quick, Pete, you're the expert here. Pete, you're the expert here. What are your best tips for not getting lost in a fuckfest?
Have a map.
Yeah.
There's different ways to go. You know what I mean? Having a buddy who is always looking out for you, is good.
Always good to have a buddy in a fuck fest.
Yeah, always good. Someone who's looking out for you. You can't cramp up, so you need like make sure you're plenty. You got the Gatorade
stretch.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
You need help with those words. It's interesting you didn't like the sex in this book. You say the word "fuck island" about the X-Men, even though that was one very small part of a story literally years ago. So that's something to talk about when we have our 3-person therapy session.
Oh man, I can't wait for that because it's cheaper to do it that way.
No, definitely. And that poor soul is in their hell who has to talk to us. I really love this book. I like the way that the time jump ahead and the way the sort of like sexual tension of the first arc was very aggressively broken. I also like about this that it's sort of like when there's no society around them, they can sort of make relationships whatever they want it to be. And in the back half of the book, we sort of get that in a way that I was sort of like, oh, is this like a dramatic problem for them going forward? Because we know from the flash forwards in the first arc that they aren't getting along in the future and things definitely went wrong somewhere.
It's the fuck fest. It's going to tear them apart.
You think? Well, I mean, I don't know, because the way it's handled in this issue, it feels like that's not it. So I don't know. This book is really intriguing. It feels very fresh and interesting in a post-apocalyptic romance.
It's very creative and cool. That's for sure.
And sex.
Yeah, it's definitely, to your point, Justin, it's going in story directions that I absolutely would not expect. The art also by Leila Del Duca, just the array of backgrounds and different types of art. There's a sort of a paper dolls page that happens in here as well that I thought was very fun. So
I was calling that the action figure page where they kind of
okay. Yeah. So great.
If you've been missing,
really beautiful.
If you've been missing sex criminals, this had that sort of energy, especially with all the sex.
Let's turn to one that I felt like was probably a gimme for Pete. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter #1 from
Come on!
Lore, art by Ariel Metal. In this book, not a lot of street fighting, but a lot of
what are you talking about? Oh, ring
fighting. Let me just say, when Michelangelo fucked Guile, I felt like that sort of was a betrayal of the. It was sort of.
I love that. I thought that was really beautiful, and it really paid off on years of storytelling in a total
Sonic Boom. He said.
All right, first off, shut up. That didn't happen. Don't ruin this comic. This comic is awesome, and Guile goes up against Raph in the first round, which
they fight, but they fight because of the sex that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that. That was not implied. You were bringing stuff from one book into another, which you shouldn't do.
They do call themselves at one point heroes in a fuck shell, right?
Nope. That's not it at all.
That's part of the song. It's part of the canon.
Nope, not at all related to this. And then we get Michelangelo fighting Chung-Li, which was also fun. And I appreciate the fact that Chung-Li is like, I already sized you up, bro, even before we got here. So out ninja'd the ninja there. So that was pretty neat. But yeah, I feel like this is just a great idea and kind of fun seeing these worlds clash together. The turtles got to figure out what world they're in, and Bison is out to get them, and they got to catch up soon. And but hopefully that will happen, and hopefully they won't all fight, and it will be more of a team up action. But it was still a blast to read. Amazing art style, kind of a cool take on it wasn't like the cartoon. It was a little bit more kind of cool fighter action-y art style. But man, what a blast.
This is written by Paul Allore, our guy from the G.I. Joe comics, right?
That's right. That's right.
I certainly loved and was very surprised by. And what I like about this is it dives in, and we're just there, and it's happening. Like, I feel like so many of these stories where it's like these two licensed character worlds are colliding. There's just a long setup of like, and that's when this device that a scientist had, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like at the end of the first issue, they're meeting. This fighting, they're fighting. It's in their names. It's a turtle fighting a person who fights in the street, a street fighter. Let's go. And that's fun. It's Guile, I know. And you think I didn't play Street Fighter too?
It seems like you don't know what you're talking about. So
Who was your fighter? Street Fighter 2.
Well, it depends. It really depends. I would go with Ken sometimes. I would go Chung Li sometimes. E Honda. Yeah.
I would usually use E Honda or Bison, I think.
Bison.
Really? E Honda? No fun.
Yeah, dude.
Here's my only weird point with this book. The characters from Street Fighter hang out with each other, like socially. That seems weird. They're always street fighting. Why would they do that?
They're co-workers.
Yeah.
Guile changes the toner.
Call back.
Very strange. Groot number 2 from Marvel, written by Dan Abnett, art by Damian Cusero. There are 3 small Groot-type creatures, tree creatures, who are palling along with Captain Marvel. In this issue, we meet a female Yandu who teams up with them. And they are fighting a bunch of smoky chainsaw monsters. Pete, you seem to be into this one as well. Take it away.
No, Pete did. I feel like you didn't like the first issue of this, right?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. I remember catching some heat because I thought I really liked it, and I liked having these other sort of misfit Marvel space characters.
I wanted more. I wanted to see what was going on, and I feel like we got a little bit more of the plot of what's going on, what we're doing here. It wasn't just kind of like 3, Groot and then like other Groots that said kind of just one phrase.
Twig and Gleef?
Yeah, yep, exactly. So
Gleef's bullshit. I agree.
I thought this was fun and hilarious. It was a cool art style. Love this like kind of adventure. Love the storytelling. I feel like this is a kind of fun team up. We're kind of putting the team together and going to kind of unleash them on the world. So I'm excited about the band we're forming here, and I feel like it could get interesting, and I feel very happy with what's happening.
I agree. I like this a lot. It has like it almost has like some dream elements to it. This feels almost like something that Groot is recounting, and it's like his dreamy take on like the chainsaw monsters, all these other characters that you sort of know. It has that dream logic to it, and I really like that. And it really made me want a Guardians of the Galaxy book about the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. Like your Yondu, your Martinex.
Right? They're building up to that.
Ooh,
potentially.
So you are getting this, Justin. Your wish is coming true.
That's I got 3 left on the monkey's paw. I just like where's my Vance Astro? Where's
wait for it.
Yeah, I guess we will.
Gotta be patient. The Flash, number 800 from DC Comics, written by Jeremy Adams, Mark Waid, Joshua Williamson, Jeff Johns, and Cy Spurrier, art by Fernando Pasarin, Todd Dock, Carmine Giandomenico, Scott Collins, and Mike Diodato Jr. This is a bunch of short stories with classic Flash teams telling stories mostly about Wally West, or that involve Wally West in some way. And
it's a celebration of Wally West.
It's a celebration of Wally West, setting up some stuff for the future. As the Flash fan on the podcast, I was very happy with this collection. I thought all of the stories were great. I was, in particular, the Mark Waid, Todd Dock Impulse story, very fun.
Yes.
That was delightful.
It was ripped out of the late 90s, right? When that came out, it was perfect.
That was great. And the Jeff Johns, Scott Collins, because like that's my Flash. They tell a story of Hunter Zolomon coming back. I don't know what that's going to mean for the future. I love Hunter Zolomon. Like you go back, read that story where they build him up to being Zoom, and it's awesome. He is this terrifying villain that played throughout the DC universe for years before they replaced him by Eobard Thawne, who's not quite as interesting to me as Reverse Flash. So I was very happy to see that team back on that again. But overall, I just really enjoyed this book a lot.
That Jeff Johns story was chaotic. I was like trying to like really get my hands around.
Here's the thing about that story. I completely understand what you're saying. As somebody who knows everything about what they're talking about and has read those stories multiple times, I was like, this is great. I love all this stuff. Gimme. But I completely understand that not having knowledge of any of those storylines, it might be a tough hill to climb.
Well, and I also, it's interesting to me, months ago, we started talking about the 1 Minute War. And I feel like then you took it out of the stack because you didn't want to hear about it from us.
Yeah, you were tired of our bits.
I didn't like it.
Oh. You didn't like it. Interesting. Because I kept reading it and I actually liked it.
Okay. Sorry about that. I should have included it then.
No, I just thought it was interesting that I thought you were keeping your Flash fandom away from your friends. And this is what I'm going to talk about in therapy this week. But I loved our group therapy. The first story, which was like almost got him episode of Batman.
100%. Yeah.
Is great also. So I really enjoyed that. Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, I felt like this was a fun collection of stories. As I was reading this, I was like, I bet Zalbin's having a blast with this. This seems like a fun thing.
He loves how fast that guy.
You know what I mean? Oh my God!
Is he going to get faster? That's my question. And yes, the answer is yes, he does.
I went and put a $5,000 down in Vegas on the Flash is not going to get faster, and I fucked up. I'm going to lose that money
because he's getting faster.
You know what? You should double down your bet the next time. You'll make back the money that way.
But
wait, Pete, real quick. You shouldn't drink and gamble because I think that's literally the whole thing.
Well, that's the problem.
They give you free alcohol.
Well, that's what you're making bad decisions when you're toe up from the flow up. No. My point is, Zal, that as far as an 800 issue, this was a real great celebration of the character, and I feel like they did it justice.
Yeah. Phantom Road, number 4 from Image Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Gabriel H. Walta. We are really getting to it in this book as two characters have been trapped on the titular Phantom Road, having to take some sort of idol in a big rig. If they try to leave, basically they're going to die. There's a bunch of like zombie things that are on the road. And meanwhile, back in the real world, there is some sort of a detective investigator who's trying to track down information about this thing, who ends up in a even weirder hole than she was in before. We've talked about this pretty much every issue, but I think it's worth emphasizing. This, to me, is the most direct, propulsive thing that Jeff Lemire has done in a very long time.
100%. And I love that about it. I love the tone. It has, like, bones of, like, Lost, Twin Peaks. Like, characters keep being like, wait, stepping out of a room, being like, oh, no, this is not good. It's just really, like you're saying, propulsive, spooky. There's scary there's literal jump scares built in here. It's one of my favorite Jeff Lemire books in a while, and the Gabriel Walta art is awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really love about this book is the lack of words. They really rely on the art to kind of tell some stories. It sets up a kind of intense mood, which I think really highlights the action and the story happening in this comic. It's a lot of fun, and those zombies, I was calling them like cement zombies because they kind of look goopy, you know? Mm-hmm. But
oh, nice. Who are you telling that to? Like all the other people in the sandbox?
Yep.
Or the toy that walks up to you in the sandbox.
Hey, did you see these cement zombies?
What did the toy that guy sent say? You said, I feel high. I feel like fucking ripped right now.
Did you not eat dinner and just drank? Is that what's going on?
Truly, Pete, the words that came out of your mouth are a drug. I don't know what it is about that, but I'm going to listen to that again. And it's when I'm like having a tough day, rather than having a drink, I'm just going to listen to a replay of your sandbox analogy, and I'm gonna be high.
Betty Page, #1 from Dynamite, written by Mirka Andolfo and Luca Beleggino, art by Elisa Ferrari, with Mara Angelili.
Christ, man.
Alex is definitely hot.
Holy shit.
I'm so tired. So as you mentioned before, and this is my requisite begging Dynamite, please stop it with the cheesecake covers, because this is a goofy, fun, cartoony Betty Page book where she gets suckered into a weird film shoot where the guy's trying to kill her. But from the cover, you'd be like, hey, do you like have sex with Betty Page? Because that's what you're going to do in the pages of this book. It's weird. There's a disconnect there. It doesn't actually effectively sell the book, because I would much rather buy something that reflects the art inside of the book than the art outside of the book.
I agree with that. It's a weird misdirect here. Also, like, Betty Page is there's not, I don't know, and I'm not a huge like Betty Page person. I know there's a lot of people who are, but like from what I know, it's like Betty Page is like a pinup girl. So it's sort of like the story that they're putting into the book is something new. It's new ideas. It's like something laying on this character. So like to try to sell it as a pinup thing when the story is like absolutely not that is strange.
Yeah, I wish they kind of like put that in like the back, sometimes they do pinups in the back of the comics after all the, that would have been a good spot for it, because you think like, oh God, what's this book going to be? But actually inside it, it's goofier. The art's completely different. She's very clothed for all of it. So
she's very clothed.
Yeah. I mean, she's got jacket,
parka, hat, goggles.
It's wintertime.
You can't even see her. It's just like,
no.
But fun last panel. It's kind of a goofy, fun take. So I thought it was interesting. If you can just get past the pinup that is not representational of anything inside the comic.
Now, Pete, your name, LaPage. Are you related to Betty Page at all?
Yeah. What sucks is
you're
when
Page.
Right. When we got divorced, she changed her name to separate herself from me. And
just a little bit.
But I wanted to give me the middle finger and kind of kept the page. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Did she say she was turning over a new page?
Yeah. Thanks.
Turn LaPage.
Yeah. You guys are really funny.
Spider-Man #9 from Marvel, written by Dan Slott, art by Mark Bagley. In this issue, Spider-Man has amped up his spider sense exponentially, so now he can sense things happening in the whole city. Meanwhile, Spider-Boy, his sidekick that's never existed before but actually has existed for all time and space, is trying to track him down. Norman Osborn is making jokes out of the first Spider-Man movie, and a lot of other things are going on. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's Dan Slott, so there's a lot of funny stuff. There's, that bite me kid moment was really fun. The Golden Goblin isn't my favorite, but this is still great Dan Slott action. I feel like it's got a lot of great stuff in there that give you that kind of Spider-Man. It feels like a real Spider-Man book. So, I enjoyed it.
The Spider-Boy stuff, it feels like this book is trying very hard to make Spider-Boy happen, but I don't know.
It's like Fetch.
I guess I wish there wasn't.
Stop trying to make Fetch happen. You know what I mean?
It needs to be, Spider-Boy needs to be the center of this arc. Like, this is not to editorialize here, but it felt like the purpose of this book was to have the end of Spider-Verse for the first 6-7 issues, something like that. And that felt like its purpose there. I thought that was going to be the only thing with the book. I didn't realize it was going to continue. Totally fine having it continue because Dan Slott and Mark Bagley on a Spider-Man book.
Great team.
But if you're going to do that, make it the book that's like, this is the big arcs, not just a Spider-Man arc where he interacts with Norman Osborn and he's going to fight Electro and other stuff. It's well done. I enjoy reading them and I enjoy looking at the art, but I'd much rather have it be like, this is the big swing book where now the second arc is, who is Spider-Boy? How does he tie into this mythos? Let's really jump and dive right into that and explain what's going on there. That to me would be a stronger, more interesting thing to do, and we'll get there. But
we will.
I don't want it to be. Well, I don't want it to be an ongoing mystery for the next 25 issues or anything. That's all.
I agree with you there. I also think that's the way Dan Slott did his run on Spidey, was just like there were so many plots happening and it was sort of just like moving through, and then would come upon like a big node of the story and that would pop. And then it would keep going, like developing all these little threads. So it just feels like the other Spider-Man book has been doing a lot of like big story jumping back and forth. And if this is sort of doing the same, that's too much. Like, let's have one of them be doing something different.
But we'll see. I'll keep reading it. I'm generally enjoying it.
Do you like this book or the other book?
Do I like this book or the other book? Right now, probably
that Wells
this
book that we've talked about, controversial.
Because I really didn't like the last arc of the Zell Wells book, but I liked everything up until that. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I love them all. Bring on more comics. Here's another comic I'm going to bring on. Adventures of Superman John Kent, #4 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor, art by Derek Robertson. John Kent is still trapped in the Injustice universe trying to figure out what's going on. And in this issue, he has a little bit of a flip where he starts to realize what is the right side to be on, except unfortunately, in the Injustice universe, there's no right side to be on. I'm really liking this run, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen when they finally get past the road to Injustice and on Injustice War or whatever is going to happen here.
Yeah, like what is it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It could be anything, really.
Yes. But what do you guys think? How are you feeling about this?
I like this. I really like the fact that, John was like, yo, hold up. This fighting's not getting us anywhere. Let's kind of talk this out a little bit. And then it was kind of a sweet moment where he went, even though he's in a different world, he still went to go see his life partner there. So that was pretty adorable and nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like what they're doing in this book. They're kind of pushing this character in different ways. So it's very cool and creative. And the art is fantastic.
Derek Robertson on art is cool. Someone that I feel like I haven't seen a ton of lately, so that's nice to have him back in the mix. And yeah, I think John Kent is such a strong personality in the comics, and he's like, I'm going to go reasonably investigate this from an unbiased point of view.
Come on.
And I really like that, and I think this is maybe under-discussed because we talk so much about how John Kent is Superman and the son of our Superman, but he is also the son of Lois Lane, and that's what I think we're seeing here is him being just like a great investigative reporter in this new world. Because I thought that, and it's not really pointed to. I wish we got a little bit more of sort of that gesture toward, because that's what his other superpower here is reasonably trying to figure this out without resorting to just violence or whatever. And it's just really meticulously done in a great way.
Love Everlasting, #8 from Image Comics, written by Tom King, art by Elsa Charretier. In this issue, our main character is continuing to cycle through the same timeline that she is stuck in, which is 1963. She is quote unquote happily married with children, but in the background, this cowboy who previously has killed her a bunch of times and sent her back to other romantic relationships is just hanging around and messing things up. I'll tell you what, I came to a rather obvious, I think, conclusion to this issue that probably have reached before.
I don't like the way you say rather obvious. You know
no, because I think I should have picked up on it before, and maybe even one of you have said it before, but I think what is going on with this book is it is what we go through with relationships, and particularly how we break up with people and why we break up with people.
It's a modern telling of Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. You're right. You're exactly. Why didn't I see that before? Oh my
100%.
God.
The cowboy in this issue is that thing that dangles over even your longest term relationships where you're like, it's your doubts. That's who he is. That thing of like, maybe there's something better out there. Maybe there's an out. I don't know. And you're like, nope, this is what I got. This is where I am. I'm happy here. And that doubt is always in the background in certain ways, like nagging at you at the worst possible opportunities. That's what I think is playing out in this issue. It's obviously very upsetting to read, but it's very interesting to read. And I do think that plays out with the earlier things in terms of like when you're dating, there are points where you're like, you just hit a wall for whatever reason with the relationship where maybe it does make sense. Maybe there's actual red flags. Maybe there's not actual red flags and you're the red flag. Whatever the reason, you got to get out of that relationship. And that's what that cowboy is. So that's my interpretation of the book that really snapped in for me in this issue in particular. So curious.
I can't wait for your self-help book called You're the Red Flags, Albin. I think it's going to be great. And I'm going to buy the first copy.
Oh, thank you very much.
The first copy.
Wow, the first copy. I'm going to gift the first copy to my wife right before she breaks up with me. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because she's the red flag that inspired you.
Yes.
Oh, how dare you say that?
I married a bull. Did I ever tell you guys that? Like, it's a literal bull, and I have a red flag. So that's what the book is about.
And you live in a china shop, which is crazy.
I do. So dangerous.
This is
it's a risky place to live. I agree with you. Like the sort of central metaphor here is a comment on relationships, but what I like about it is the flip of what romance comics are. It's like you're saying, Alex, it's about the doubts, the breakup. It's about the sort of the prison of love, what long-term relationships are, while romance comics are all about like the passion of meeting someone and trying to like make that happen and what roadblocks get in the way. So it's like taking the yang to the yin of romance comics. And that's what Tom King is good at, like thinking that, putting it together, and then telling us a story that doesn't reveal that premise at the beginning. We just read along until we get to it. And the Elsa Charretier art is great as well.
Yeah, the art's absolutely phenomenal. Just absolutely beautiful. A lot of really amazing imagery. Also crazy, creepy shit. But Zelbin, I feel a little ridiculous that I didn't put this together, that this was about until you had mentioned that. But yeah, it all makes so much sense now, especially when I start dating. There's that cowboy that shows up and is just always kind of like
I feel
pointing
weird.
out, you know,
by the way,
that
when
aren't
you're
going
saying
well.
Woody, you mean, right? The cowboy who visits you at the sandbox?
I feel bad, Pete. I've been paying an actor in a cowboy outfit to show up on your dates. And I feel...
Oh, man.
It's expensive, but I think it's worth it because he says, like, howdy, partner. You going to get lost in this fuck place again tonight? And I think that feels real, feels fun. Are you starting to believe that it's a metaphor?
I totally thought that I had imagined that cowboy, so it's amazing that the cowboy is real.
Howdy, Pete. I'm a metaphor. Anyway, let's move on and talk about Maleficent #2 from Dynamite by Sue Lee. I mentioned this on the live show, but I was very surprised because I thought this was a one-shot based on the previous issue where they said the end at the end. So probably should have looked into that. But this is a
But they say that in Disney movies.
Yeah,
they say that.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but also... It felt like, we were getting a series of one-off stories, and even the first half to 2/3 of the story, it feels like it's maybe a disconnected story, and instead, it's connected. It
is connected.
And this is great. They continue to knock it out of the park with these DC villain story. The art by Sue Lee is absolutely gorgeous.
Storybook.
You mentioned this the last time, Justin, but the fact that they let Maleficent be a villain and not a redeemed villain is really good. And we're following the story of the brother, I believe, of the guy who was turned into a fox in the previous issue. He's trying to track him down. Again, Maleficent is gonna Maleficent and push back on it in the most hideously magical way possible. But this is a really good book.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next issue. I was happy that it's a connected story. I mean, I'm things are getting crazier and crazier. I'm excited to see if he's going to come back with a whole army or something to try to take down. But It's a ton of fun. The art, we've mentioned a number of times, but it's worth mentioning again. It's just so cool. It feels like an extension of the animation that you get with the Disney movies, but it's a little kind of updated and cooler. I had my arms crossed when we first introduced this, but I happily am open armed now and can't wait for the next issue.
Wow, open arms. I mean, what better? That's a pull quote right there.
Deadpool, Batter Blood, #1 for Marvel, written by Rob Liefeld and Chad Bowers, art by Rob Liefeld. This is Deadpool and Wolverine and Cable. And they're going to claw, and they're going to fight, and they're going to kick, and they're 50 years old. Pete, this seemed tailor-made for you. What'd you think about this one?
Yeah, this was just like, hey, you remember your childhood? You remember reading these comics? Well, guess what? They're back. This was a fun kind of nostalgic visit to Deadpool by the originator. You're getting oversized weapons and tiny talking heads. It's a blast. I mean, what's not to love? You got some humor, you got some action, some light story. It's a good time.
Do you think, like, what was Rob Liefeld thinking doing a sequel to Taylor Swift's Bad Blood? Because I couldn't connect it here with Batter Blood.
It was probably listening to the album and thinking about the fact that she just broke up with Matty Healy, as we all know. I don't want to get into it too much.
Yeah, why would you bring that up? I'm going to be sad again.
Yeah.
No, Taylor Swift's dating Cable now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah. Taylor Swift,
Great
not
moment.
a lot of people know this. She's actually the third Summers brother.
It's true. Huge reveal.
I was hoping you were going to say his mother's brother.
Makes less sense, but yeah, sure.
I'm old.
Great point. Yes, no doubt about that. Speaking of old, this comic feels like it's from the past in that way. In all ways. So if you're a fan of the classic, it's just very funny to me. Rob Liefeld's like, I want to do a comic for Marvel. I gotta have Deadpool and Cable there. We've seen the old Cable so much in Rob Liefeld's work. But I mean, like, this definitely scratches that itch. I actually liked the end of the issue with the reveal that happens there. If Rob Liefeld's going to go full, like, end of New Mutants into X-Force, like, that was a wild time in comics. To replicate that, I would read that. I also found it interesting that when Wolverine's claws go in, because when the sound when they come out is obviously snicked.
Right.
When they go in, snacked. Huge reveal. Different sound.
I'm already hungry.
Yeah. Poison Ivy #13 from DC Comics, written by G. Willow Wilson, art by Marcio Takara, Gilliam March, Kelly Jones, and A.L. Kaplan. In this issue, Poison Ivy is back in Gotham City. She is shacking up with Harley Quinn, but feeling uneasy about her place there, given that Batman and the rest of the Bat family are tracking her down. Another really solid issue of this book. That's all I got.
Agreed.
Yes.
I found it interesting, the different artists, because the jump between art styles didn't feel, it felt like it was almost a fill-in issue. And I was, often, especially Pete doesn't like that. But I love the Kelly Jones pages, especially.
Yeah.
I also think it's a good sign for this book. Like, you don't have a fill-in unless you're continuing the book for perhaps a good long time. So I'm excited to keep reading this.
Yeah, I love this story. I love what we're doing with this character. I feel like this is a cool exploration of their relationship, and I like the kind of new villain reveal at the end. I think that this is such a cool focusing on the art style very heavily to kind of enhance the story in such a cool way. I love what they're doing with these characters. I'm just having a blast with this book.
The multiple artists actually worked for me, which I was very surprised about, but I think that is down to G. Willow Wilson almost broke up the book into, it doesn't have chapter breaks or anything, but it feels like different chapters as Poison Ivy moves into different parts of the city. So definitely writing for that. And you got, I mean, you got the 4 amazing artists here.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing. It's hard to hate on these artists.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You got Gilliam March when Catwoman shows up and is interacting with Poison Ivy. Who else would you want to do something like that? Kelly Jones, like you were talking about. I love Kelly Jones's Nightmare Batman. Just his ears are like 5 feet tall.
Yeah,
and
love it.
It's great. So really good stuff. I don't hate this next book, but I do hate this place. Number 9 from Image Comics by Kyle Starks, art by Artyom Toplin. This is really getting to it here as our main characters have. We basically get a reveal about everything with the whole book. There's this device that has messed up time and space around their house. We find out who the Horned Man is in this book, and it really feels like we're heading to the end game here. I love this. I love how Kyle Stark continues to throw in little doses of humor in the midst of very high stakes. Great stuff.
Yeah, I was super happy with the twist that we got in this. It was so cool and revealing, and I would super type bananas art. I mean, just absolutely such an amazing world that is created here. It's creepy, it's scary, so that part's been tough. But man, the writing and the storytelling has been really enjoyable. So I've been kind of reading it in between fingers here and enjoying it.
In between fingers. I agreed. This is like cramming in a ton of like X-Files episodes, Outer Limits, ghost stories, everything into one comic book, and still having the characters and story be like super engaging is difficult, and this book pulls it off. It's really good.
Star Trek Defiant, number 4 from IDW, written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Angel Unzueta. In this issue, we finally get the one character that you probably should have expected, but I did not expect, but came back anyway. Spoilers here, but the evil Tasha Yar from Star Trek The Next Generation shows up to help out our, I think, Justin, you've referred to them as a very sharp Star Trek crew, like X-Force of Star Trek crews.
It's the X-Force of Star Trek.
Yeah, there you go. Very fun. I continue to have a blast reading this book.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The Tasha, I think it's her daughter, right? In the Earth version.
It's like a daughter who is also a clone, who is an alternate universe version. I don't know. There was a whole complicated continuity thing that happened there, but
yeah. But I love it. Of course, you're gonna like. I feel like they just have a list of like who are the baller Star Trek, especially Next Generation characters, to be like, well, we gotta have. What about the sludge puddle that kills Tasha in the original? We gotta have that guy on there. We're gonna see sludge puddle eventually, and it's very fun, very good. A lot of great lore. Spock hanging out.
Worf, you got shit. The Worf.
Mm-hmm. Worf in here. This is our second Worf
sighting of the day.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Fantastic Four, number 8 from Marvel, written by Ryan North,
Here we
art
go.
by Ivan Fiorello. In this issue, the Fantastic Four, they're just trying to hang out at Aunt Petunia's farmhouse, just live a normal life. And of course, weird things are still happening to them as people in town start to forget their entire lives, leading to a new villain reveal and the Fantastic Four potentially fighting against each other. Justin, you love this one in particular, so take it away.
I do love this. It's like, it feels like classic, big Fantastic Four storytelling. Excuse me, they're out of the city. They're in a different place, which I also appreciate. Just small town, country living. But the stories are still super detail-oriented, dense, interesting, big swings, like basis in like science, a lot of them. The only thing that bothers me about this is Johnny Storm's facial hair.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything's killing right here. Don't like.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like Johnny Storm when you got that kind of handlebar working, Fu Manchu, whatever the technical term for that caterpillar going all the way down the side of his lips, mustache action. if we're going to tell a Fantastic Four story, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if this is the one where it's like, oh, what? Who are these guys? Oh, I don't remember anything. Oh, that store's been closed for years. What are we doing? I just feel like I want more from a Fantastic Four, and I'm not getting it. But I tell you what,
so much. What do you want more? Like more like space? You need like 19 reads?
I don't want 19 reads. Jesus, the one read is enough. The guy can barely hold a marriage together. My point is that I just feel like there's good use of characters, and then there's just kind of like stuff. And I think the art is amazing in this. I love the choices being made artistically, except for the Storm mustache. But I just think that. I don't know. I want him to get to it. Maybe when it does, I'll get on board. But right now, I'm just kind of reading, going, okay, yeah. But what's going to happen? Like, what are we doing? Like, what? Okay, you know what I mean. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just chomping the bit for no reason, and I need to chill out. But
this story is going to be continued.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it'll get better, because right now it's just like forgetful, and like we went to a mall, but maybe we didn't.
So I think what you're feeling, Pete, if I was to interpret, is this isn't Fantastic Four. This isn't them like spanning the universe and doing big crazy.
Yeah, this is like, things. Hey, Grandma, what'd you do today? Well, I went to the mall, but I think the store was closed. You know what I mean?
What this is, the way that they're taking it is not necessarily fantastic in terms of wow, fantastic, so much as you mentioned earlier in the podcast, Justin, Outer Limits. This is Outer Limits with the Fantastic Four. And that's what this series has been the entire time, or Twilight Zone with the Fantastic Four. So it's actually more grounded. It's more about the fantastic in terms of the things that they're dealing with that are these weird mysteries. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I understand your feeling, because I want to see them like get the Fantastic Four car and fly around and like find alien planets and things like that. But we've already seen that a lot. So this is throwing them into some new situations that I think so far are pretty interesting.
Cool.
Agreed.
Great. We have a concurrence. Shazam #2 from DC Comics, written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora. In this issue, Billy Batson is dealing with the fact that Shazam is showing off some sort of rage, and he doesn't know why. He's about to be canceled, bro. Meanwhile, the rest of the Shazam family doesn't have their powers, so a lot of stuff going on there. I was a little hesitant about the first issue of the series because I was coming off the high of the Barry Marvel series that they were doing.
Yes.
And so I was a little bummed to turn back to Billy Batson, despite my love of both the writing and art part of this creative team. This is the issue that won me over. And it was mostly because there is a Tyrannosaurus in a top hat who is just fun. Just
You're
fun
a sucker
stuff.
for that.
I am. I love that sort of thing.
Agreed. There's some fun here. I love Mark Waid's writing. We get a little bit of sort of revealing what's happening. We get a setup for some more Mary Marvel stuff, dealing with some sort of nightmare situation. The Dan Mora art is really good. Pete, that's your guy.
Yeah, I mean, super type bananas, bro.
I'm a little burnt out on Psycho Pirate, let me just say.
What?
You're not burnt out on him. You never like him.
I like him fine. He's just used
every time
constantly.
he turns up. You're like, I don't know about that Psycho Pirate.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. He looks like Iron Man. He's like, he can control people's minds,
which is crazy.
He's not a pirate, and he doesn't seem crazy. He just seems like
I think that's your big problem is the lack of piracy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because he's
Get him on a ship.
Or is it jealousy?
Plenty
because
psycho.
he's a very theatrical guy. Like he's clearly wearing
he's
a very
street performer.
costume. He's a street performer. He's wearing a mask that like, kind of looks like a comedy tragedy mask with no features, I guess. And he can manipulate people's emotions, which is your ultimate dream as well.
That's true. I guess I'm just wishing I was in a full body spandex at the museum. Controlling people's brains.
I think what it is you wanted to be
second paw just creak closed.
Yeah.
I think it was because you wanted to be a story pirate, and then that didn't happen, and then Psycho Pirate is clearly kind of rub it in your face a little bit.
I wanted to be the craziest story pirate.
Yeah. I was blown away by this. This continues to be really amazing artistically and story-wise. This Mark Waid guy is really out of his time. Yeah, I'm having a complete blast with this. And the story keeps getting better every issue.
Star Signs #2 from Image Comics, written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Megan Levins. This is following a world where the Zodiac has disappeared from the sky, but it seems like different people are getting different powers that tie into the Zodiac in some way, and there is a war brewing between them, even early in the second issue. I like this. This feels to me almost like, and I don't say this derisively, but like a TV pitch in comic book form. What do you guys think at this point?
Well, first we got to start off with signs, right? You guys believe in that kind of stuff?
Not really. Go ahead.
Oh,
astrology? What about you, Pete?
Yeah, definitely think there's something to it. I don't like base my life around it, but I think there's some points.
Right, let's get into it. I'm a Libra. What's going to happen to me tomorrow?
Oh, I'm a Leo. What are you, a Cancer?
Libra.
Me? Scorpio.
Oh, interesting.
The most sexual of the signs.
Is it?
That's what I say about Libra, too. Sexy scales.
Oh, wow. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I just think this is...
You sound into it.
I think this is like a cool idea, very kind of, different pitch. I feel like it's going to get better as it goes, and I'm excited about this kind of execution. Interesting kind of collection of people. I also like the way the character was just like, hey, let's just talk. You know what I mean? Let's just go someplace and sit down. Diners are where all the action is. You know what I mean? Like, man, I tell you what.
So Aquarius of them, right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about specifically, Pete?
This comic where they...
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, the guy was like, yo, let's go to a diner and talk about...
okay.
The guy who can shapeshift.
The shapeshifter.
Right. A Gemini or something.
Yep.
Gemini. This was very wicked and divine.
I see what you're saying.
Book.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where the first, I forget which star sign, but like I was like, oh, you look like the snappy one from Wicked and Divine, even
Lucifer.
Down to sort of Lucifer. Yeah.
Interesting. Hairball #3 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Matt Kindt, art by Tyler Jenkins. In this issue, our main character is trying to kill her cat, who she thinks is a demon. She tries it a bunch of different ways. Is she successful? You'll just have to read to find out.
Oh, read the book.
Pete, you're a cat guy. What'd you think?
Yeah.
I am a cat guy, and this book continues to scare the effing shit out of me. But man, this is creepy. Love the art style, though. It is really cool and unique. Has like a evil kid book kind of style to it, which I appreciate. Yeah. I mean, this cat demigod is really interesting, and they have kind of like a weird therapy session throughout the comic, which is kind of keyed into our show's theme here. But yeah, I feel like once you beat a cat demigod, you don't go back for more. You know what I mean? You just kind of walk away. But this character wants more, so tempting fate once again. But man, I can't say enough about the art style.
Creepy, tense, stressful, and but then it's a nice little turn.
That's what it's like to own a cat.
Yeah. See, I don't own a cat. I'm a dog. I'm a dog.
Pip, don't sleep, baby.
Less creepy and stuff flying around,
Yeah, definitely.
Really good book if you're looking for a horror book to check out. And it's ongoing as well. I thought it was going to end with this issue, but it does not.
No.
Daredevil #12 from Marvel, written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Marco Cicchetto. In this issue, we're picking up at the cliffhanger of the last, where Daredevil decided the only thing he has left to do is die. We find out exactly how he thinks he's going to die in this issue. But of course, there's some twists and swerves. Pete, you all right? You okay,
dude,
bro?
this is crazy what's happening in this comic.
Good.
Like
in a good way.
No, like when the Punisher came back as an angel crazy. You know what I mean? Like now Daredevil thinks he's the right hand of God? Like, what? I was a little hurt that he kind of made Elektra kill him. And so it seemed like they were in love, but then he was like, oh, I'm using you to kill me, and then now I'm going to be like a godlike creature. So what is happening? I don't know, but the art is unbelievable.
He's going to get his Foggy back. He's going to hell itself to get his buddy. Something
and
that
that's
all
what you
three
do for
committed.
your friends. Or
100%.
you could just love them when they're next to you and not treat them like shit.
Sorry, who are you yelling? Are you yelling at the cowboy sitting next to you in your room?
I don't know. Who am I yelling at, Justin? Alex? Who am I yelling at?
The cowboy in your room sitting next to you. I think Justin just said that.
I think we established it.
Okay, great.
I was talking a lot about how Daredevil needs a break. It's been too dark for too long. And I was started this issue with like, oh my God, this guy. But I actually really like where this ended up. It's a nice sort of breakout from the situation we've been in for a while. The idea of Daredevil going to hell is really cool. Looking forward to this.
But the outfit change, though. Come on, man. You don't think that's a little much, or are you cool with it?
I mean, that's pretty cool. If I have trouble dressing myself, if I could go to hell and have them redress me in some way in a sweet outfit.
But going to hell in an all-white outfit, that's just asking for trouble.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it before or after Labor Day?
That's a great question.
Thank you so much.
It's after Labor Day. Obviously, we're
oh, my God, because it's hell. Oh, you're totally right. Dark Knights of Steel, number 11 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor, art by Yasmín Putri. We are building up to a big confrontation between white Martians back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean medieval DC universe, and the heroes who are finally all joining together. Another great book from Tom Taylor. He just really excels in bringing DC history into other eras and time, and it works here as well.
Agree. Fantastic art. I like this. It is Game of Thronesy. Like, I know that's an easy comparison to make, but the name of this issue is The Winds of War, I believe, and it is actually achieving that tone. So if you're a fan of that and want to see your favorite DC characters involved in that, this is a good version of it.
Yeah, I'm having a blast with this. This is so cool. Love the art style. It's fun to kind of see these characters in old-timey times, but done in a good way. So yeah, having a blast with this. Amanda Waller sucks.
She does.
Ooh,
Blood
careful.
Tree.
She's got a thing in her brain. You're just going to blow your face up.
Blood Tree number 5 from Image Comics, written by Peter J. Tomasi, art by Maxim Simis. This is following a murderer who is killing people and dressing them up as angels. He is intrinsically tied to the main detective, who is lead on the case. Things amp up in an insane way here in this issue. Whatever you thought was happening in the first 4 issues, it's not that it's wrong, but it just goes so much bigger in this issue, to the point where it starts to feel to me like the Joker in Dark Knight a little bit. Like there's sort of that level of planning and anarchy going on, which I was not expecting from what otherwise seemed to be a relatively good but straightforward crime book.
I really like this. I like that it heightened so much, because I thought it was going to be sort of just like a head to head, almost like the movie Backdraft, where these two are just facing off trying to get after each other. But instead, it just like blew the machine open in this issue, and I definitely did not see that coming and appreciated it.
Well, now you got me wishing it was more like Face Off, because you mentioned that. But I think that
I don't think I said that.
Well, you said Face Off, and you were talking about a different movie, but then I was like, oh, I wish he was talking about the movie Face Off. So anyways.
I said Dark Knight, and Justin said Backdraft, and you said Face Off. Just to clarify.
No, I mean, Justin said...
I said two characters that face off.
Yeah, thank you. And then I just heard... Yeah, there you go. I am not crazy. All right, so anyways, I think this is super creepy. This serial killer is doing horrible things, and hope they get their comeuppance.
Probably will. Breath of Shadows, number 5 from IDW, written by Rich Dueck, art by Alex Cormack. This is the final issue of the series, which has followed a rock band that has headed into a Heart of Darkness type situation with some actual mysticism attached to it. The big, and not to keep reusing Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, but Twilight Zone-esque twist by the end of this issue. I'll tell you what, I lost me a little bit in the middle of this series. I wasn't quite sure where they're going, but I really like the ending a lot. It's very dark, it's very upsetting, but it really pays off nicely on what was set up throughout the series.
Yeah, it almost has, like, it feels a little like Cthulhu-y, the way it came through here, so... Like, I agree. I was a little bit in the middle. There was a lot of like just sort of melodrama, I felt like, between the characters, and we weren't sort of moving the larger horrifying bug stuff forward. And this really pays off the bug stuff.
Yeah, the bug stuff is creepy as fuck, man. And, you know, I don't know. It's really scary. The whole thing is very scary. But if you're into it, it's a great book.
I'm sorry you were scared. Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, number 13 from Marvel, written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, art by Alina Arofiva. There we go.
Arofiva.
Nailed it. Anyway.
I have Taylor Swift's Eros Fever.
Oh, you have tickets? You got tickets?
No,
Sweet.
I don't.
The... two Captain Americas have been fighting. They make up in this issue after
finally.
Finally. There was a whole issue where they were fighting, and then they made up.
It's hard.
And now there's some stuff going on with Bucky and other characters.
And the Wolf King.
Mm-hmm. Who's a wolf?
He becomes a wolf. The last issue I felt like was a little bit of a misstep. I liked the some of the dialogue in it, but it felt very laid on and forced that the Captain Americas were fighting. This, I think, got back to the form. The only part that was weird is when they were talking about how they were fighting, where it's like, I shouldn't have kicked your ass so rashly. And he's like, I shouldn't have fought you either. I was like, we didn't need to do that the way that it happened. But I like the art here. I like the way that the Bucky side of the story is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I love the art style. I think that it's getting more and more interesting as we go, which is great. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this is going to all unfold. And I am glad we're finally the two dads stop fighting.
The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, number 9 from DC Comics, written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Caroline D. Giandomenico and Francesco Francavilla. In this issue, our two Jokers are getting closer to coming face to face as the Joker is in LA, is finally making his way back to Gotham. The Joker is in Gotham, is building a sad sack army of his own. So we're headed towards a confrontation here.
A face-off.
A face-off, if you will, or if
Joker
you prefer,
war,
some sort of backdraft. What'd you guys think about this one?
You know, this comic is set up as like this central mystery of like which one of these Jokers is real, and it's really not telling us to the bitter end. And I actually did this last page where it's both matching Joker faces, and I'm like, is it just like a Fight Club style situation here?
Oh, you think it's Fight Club, huh? Okay, Tyler Durden.
I don't know. It feels like that may be what we're getting toward. Though in the backup, we get this. I've been really enjoying the backup spot with the Francesco Francavilla art. Yeah. It's Commissioner Gordon is a Joker.
Yeah, that image really haunted me and kind of fucked me up a little bit. That was a creepy version of old Jim Gordo.
Jimmy G. I think that this comic is funny, and that's hard to do, while also telling like a horrifying big Joker story.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry to mean
No, please.
Berge is killing it on this book. This is an interesting take. These two Jokers kind of running wild, and I'm excited to see this Joker war unfold, or how this is all going to break down. I think this is just a creative, interesting, cool story that Berge is spinning here that I'm very much enjoying, and I'm scared and nervous to see how this is all going to unfold. But man, the art is just absolutely breathtaking.
When Joker fights Joker, jokes win.
Noctera number 15 from Image Comics, written by Scott Snyder, art by Tony S. Daniel. In this issue, our characters have made their way to Eos, I believe it's called, the land of light. And unfortunately, Blacktop Bill, the arch-villain of the series, has invaded and is bringing a bunch of dark shades with him. There's some big moves in this issue, and it really is starting to feel like they're headed towards the end game here. I don't know what they could do beyond this arc at this point.
It's interesting to me, though. Noctera is such a small part of this story. Like, I'm finding it strange that I feel like before we fully get to the end game, she has to somehow be returned to the center of the story. Because it's very much about the side characters and the brother, and Blacktop Bill is such a star of this book. So I feel like I need the story to shift back over to Noctera before we are truly at Endgame.
Oh, it will. Oh, you just wait, man. It's going to get
What do you know? Pete, what do you know?
I know some things. No, I just think this is just this book continues to kind of like shift gears in a way that's like, okay, I think I just understand what's happening here. And I finally, and then they just take it to crazy town. They're like, no,
they really
man.
put the pedal to the metal, would you say?
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, really? Oh, that's funny because
I think it's just one of those things where I keep thinking like, okay, now this is going to settle down and we're going to deal with this, but it just
keeps
powers
pumping
through.
The gas. Keeps pumping the gas.
Okay, great, yeah.
It's like almost like we're next to this story, we're making our arm go up and down and being like honk the horn, and the book's like a honk honk. Is what you mean?
Yeah, but then it kind of gets weird and takes some crazy swings and choices, and then you're just like, wait, what just happened? Where are we? And now all of a sudden we're tied to a chair in the middle of the road, and Bill's driving a monster truck, and you're like, oh,
honk honk.
Yeah.
You're like honk honk.
I continually am impressed with the way that this comic is operating on an 11 and just keeping the pedal to the metal here and then kind of flowing through it all.
I don't know. Did you look up the definition of the metaphor today?
No.
I feel like you're on fire right now. You're on fire.
I'm trying to express how this comic keeps going crazier and crazier, but yet it doesn't seem to.
You've expressed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like you've been driving for like 12 hours and you really have to pee.
Yeah.
And the story is that gas station that finally shows up, and then you go in there and reading it is like peeing. That's what you meant, right?
Nope.
Pete said that.
Survival number 2 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Sean Lewis, art by Brendan Everett. In the first issue, we speculated wildly about what was exactly going on in this book. It's clarified quite a bit in this issue, but basically you got a bunch of gun nut survivalists going up against the kind of Russian vampire werewolves with slave vampires that they use as attack dogs at the same time. So this is nuts. I love this book. I really enjoyed the first issue, but I wasn't quite, like I said, quite clear on exactly what the concept was, even though I was enjoying it. Here, there's so much clarification, but it doubles down on the characters that we care about. The action is great. And the stakes are uber high with a bunch of reprehensible people on both sides, where it makes it very intriguing in terms of who exactly you're rooting for.
Yeah, I feel like anyone can die, and it's just like part of the story. So that's fun. And they're sending Nosferatu's out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in this comic, and and there's a lot of layers to it. But man, the action is great. The art's cool. I want to keep reading because I want to figure out what this is about.
Gun nuts versus vampires. I already told you. Invincible Iron Man number 7.
Yeah, but who wins?
Well, that's something that they might reveal in the last issue, Pete.
There we go.
Yeah. Usually they don't reveal the end in the first issue.
Well, I got to decide, which way I'm going to go. Am I going to, really get into garlic and or really get into guns? What's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Do both, man. Shoot garlic from your guns. Get a garlic gun.
Just garlic gun. You need a garlic gun. Yeah. Okay, remember that birthday garlic gun for me. Yeah. Garlic gun.
Invincible Iron Man #7 from Marvel, written by Jerry Dugan, art by Juan Fergari in this issue. This is the one where Iron Man is tearing up with War Machine, and War Machine. Spoiler.
They do a classic face-off with their armor.
Ooh,
they switch.
Yeah,
good book.
Yes, it is a good book. It continues to be really well done. I feel like there were fun comedy moments in this, which is great. I like all the twists and turns of the story, which is enjoyable. Really solid art.
I feel like we've spent a lot of time with Tony Stark being like super genius, always ahead of everything, and like leading the Avengers, all that. And now with this book settled into a phase where he's sort of a fuck up. And I like this so much better. Like, he is able to make mistakes constantly. He messes up for War Machine here a great deal. I really like this new armor that he's wearing. I hope we can just see more of that, the Mark Nil armor. So I'm really, and I like this villain that is going to find some prominence in the rest of the Marvel universe, and these Stark Sentinels. Love those too. This book has really surprised me, and I'm enjoying it.
Peacemaker Tried Hard, #2 from DC Comics, written by Kyle Starks, art by Steve Pugh. In this issue, Peacemaker has been recruited by Monsieur Mala to get some DNA samples, let's say, from Deathstroke in order to clone Deathstroke for the Braid's body. This book is ridiculous and profane and raunchy. Basically, if you like the Peacemaker TV series, read this book. It is 100% in that continuity, even though it's not explicitly in that continuity, without contradicting anything that's happened there. Lots of fun.
You know those commercials that have been airing lately where someone's like banging on the remote and the two things they're watching combine? And it's like housewives and football.
Yeah.
This is like if the Doom Patrol series and the Peacemaker series somehow
100%.
That's
That's
smashed
exactly
together on Max. And it's fun because it's the tone of that, but all the villains and sort of the story is like super weird and very Doom Patrol-y, but it's all in Peacemaker's voice. So that's cool. I think that's a cool idea for a comic.
I really like this issue. I like the kind of voice of Peacemaker in this issue, and you kind of feel for him. I feel like he's kind of betrayed in this issue, and it's kind of sad.
Almighty #5 from Image Comics by Edward LaRoche. This is maybe bringing things to a close, potentially, where we have this badass who has been taking a young girl to a safe location. Here we get a little bit of a final showdown with some wild sci-fi fantasy style twists throughout the issue. The standout to me here, even beyond Edward LaRoche's world building and writing, is the art that he provides. There's some really creepy creatures that are throughout this issue in particular that I like quite a bit.
Yeah, I like this a lot too. Like, you don't know what the monster is or does too much here, but I really like this main character. And they're the two main characters, their relationship. I am surprised that after she's hooked up to the meat tube, the juice tube.
Yeah, getting the juice.
Getting the juice. She seems to be able to potentially recover from that, which seems strange. But I hope this continues because I really enjoyed it.
I do enjoy it. There is a weird moment where the main character dies, but then doesn't die, but then pretends to be dead for a little bit. So I don't know what's going on, but I think
she's mostly sleeping. It's not like she's pretending to. Sleep is sort of pretending to die in some ways.
Well, no, but I'm talking about when that bad guy walks by and then he's like, oh crap, I don't want to be dragged away by my hair like that other person there. So I'm just going to be cool and act like I'm dead. But yeah, art's absolutely fantastic. It might be creepy as fuck with these kind of tree worm zombie things, but I'm having a great time.
Batman 136 from DC Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Belen Ortega and Jorge Corona. In this issue, Batman is back in Gotham City and, of course, refraining from telling anybody that he went through some serious trauma while he was lost throughout the multiverse, and also not telling anybody that he lost a hand. So we're picking up with the rest of the Bat family trying to, as usual, be like, hey, Bruce, just you went through a traumatic experience, deal with it. And him being like, nope, got other things to do. What I like best about this and what came into clear focus for me in this issue is what Chip Zdarsky is setting up is Batman's ultimate villain is Batman.
Right.
Which makes a lot of sense. Surprising that nobody has really ever done that before. Great. Really high stakes.
Batman's messed up in this. Like, he's losing it in 9 ways. There are 2 stories here, and the backup, between Failsafe, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, just his general trauma, the handlessness, like he can't get his conversation with Catwoman to work. You rarely see Batman at this sort of weak point. And so that is interesting. I really like the setup where we get the backstory on Batman, Zur-En-Arrh, and Failsafe, and how that was sort of built out. Very cool little reveal there.
I mean, they do this a lot with Batman, where sometimes something will happen with Batman, and he kind of clams up. He doesn't share with his Bat family like he should, and it kind of makes things hard. So yeah, this is kind of tough to see Batman not only struggling but also making bad choices and maybe being the villain of his own kind of demise here. So,
if you got shot with a time bullet, would you tell your friends? Would you tell us?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably keep it to myself.
Wow.
It's a personal choice, Pete. Leave me alone.
Dude, we've been doing this for fucking years, and you're not going to tell me?
I already told you I was hit with the time bullet.
I'm still waiting. You haven't said shit.
I said it 35 minutes ago. Hell to Pay #5 from Image Comics. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it back in 35 minutes ago in the podcast. It's going to be
that would be cool.
That would be cool, but I
don't know how you would inject that. How would you seamlessly inject that into the conversation?
It'd be like, by the way, guys, I got hit with the time bullet.
Welcome to Comic Book Club. I got hit with the time bullet. I'm Alex.
Yeah, that was not.
That was much longer than 35 minutes ago.
Hell to Pay #5 from Image Comics, written by Charles Soule, art by Will Sliney. This is starting to wrap up the first arc of this epic series as our main character is trying to get her husband back. He has been captured by the main villain, and as his soul sussed out, which takes the form of taking away a lot of his skin, I think, mostly.
Yeah, it's where you keep your soul skin. Which is why you got to put sunscreen on. Yeah.
I thought this was amazing action and story. Love the character designs. The demons were really cool. The smoke people were very cool. Creepy ass monsters. I was just really impressed with the everything in this comic. It's a great package. You got a name like Charles Soule attached. You're gonna get some quality comic.
The main character is getting his Charles Soule pulled out.
Oh,
we get the Shrouded College is sort of we're slowly getting the shroud pulled away. That's such a large idea that Charles seems to be very interested in. The demon with the no neck and drippy teeth.
Yeah,
no likey.
Oh, that haunted you a little bit. Is that going to stay with you for a while?
The very loose gums. I don't know. I don't like teeth. When teeth are just loose hanging out, I'm worried they're going to get broken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, The Joker Uncovered #1 from DC Comics. This is following up on a Harley Quinn collection that was released a couple of months back. Here we're getting some iconic and little seen Joker covers that ran on actual comics, and we also get some additional narration from the Joker throughout about some of the covers. What do you guys think about this collection?
Man, if you love covers, you're going to love this book because it is mostly covers and then very small story. You got to really look for it, but it's there.
The covers are cool, though. I really like going through and seeing the artists, because these are also very recent covers from the Joker series that featured Commissioner Gordon and the Joker who stopped laughing, the man who stopped laughing that we just talked about earlier. I really like, just to highlight some, so the Lee Bermejo ones. Shouts to the Frank Quitely one that sort of kicks it off. It's really cool. Gabriel Delado I really liked. There's a ton. I guess you can buy this and pull all the pages out and hang them on your wall.
All joking aside, I like this format. I think having well, I do. I think there's something to be said for like highlighting the covers in particular, because obviously we see them on the front of the book. I know that's
that's where they are.
Oh, that's where I've seen them before.
Yeah. But we don't pay attention to them and people don't talk about them, but they are so important to the overall, just not sales, but the iconic nature of the comic books. So to highlight them in particular, I think is very nice, but adding in a little bit of like light story in front of them, I think is fun, and it gives some added value at the same time.
I love the idea that you're like, people don't pay attention to comic covers, and you being in the comic book store being like, hey, and then just pointing to a cover. Hey,
did you notice this? Stop looking at the inside. Stop judging it by the inside of the book. Yeah. Instead, judge it by, well, I don't know. I don't know how to finish that. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in today. We appreciate it. If you would like to support this,
it was a long one.
It was a long one. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comics, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice. To subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter, Comic Book Club Live on Instagram and TikTok. There you go. comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the TikTok.
I feel like I just ran a marathon in a good way.
I did that 35 minutes ago.
Oh, boy.